It's good to be back. Today on the program, very special episode. I actually get to talk with a very good friend, Mike Brody. We've been friends for 13 years or something like that, and really think of him as a good friend, almost a brother in this business. And he's got a lot of fun stories. He's done a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of ghost hunting stuff, and internet fame, and other fun stuff we talk about. And so I hope you guys enjoy it. Check it out. This is Mike Brody.
Yahoo!
We are live with the one and only Mike Brody, everybody. Say something.
I'm not here.
Oh, for Christ's sakes.
Hello. I wanted to make everybody think that you were just talking to yourself in a room. Hi, I'm Mike Brody.
That's every other episode on this freaking podcast. It's just me in my room by myself.
How long are we doing this? Is this over?
Jesus Christ, man. I mean,
I had my coffee.
I think there's... I was thinking about this last night, that there's literally maybe at best two comedians in the business that I would consider closer than just comedian friends. More like an actual brother, and it's you and Cocazello.
Cocazello.
Yeah, that guy, man.
You know,
He loves
Cocazello,
his weed.
he's a pothead. I don't think we're spoiling anything on that. I love Cocazello, but I do like the Big Brothers Big Sisters thing. I don't advertise it. You know, it's not like Will's like, oh, look at me, but I do it, and he knows I do it. The last time I saw him, I could put that on silent. I put that on silent. It's on silent. I don't understand.
What is that noise? It keeps happening all the time.
He was at a picnic that I went to. Like, they invited me to a picnic, and I went for like 30 minutes. And he was drunk and stoned. And then he follows me to my car with his hair all messed up. And he's like, hey, man, I think I really want to join Big Brothers Big Sisters. I'm like, unless somebody's your big brother, I don't really know that this is a good idea.
Did you want to join for somebody to help you? Jesus Christ, Cocazello.
Like, hey, we're going to build a recliner with balloons on it, and we're going to fly around. So that was actually something he was going to do.
Do you do the on-the-fly thing with Tony Fly?
Yeah.
I laugh so hard because I basically gave Joe the information to get on the show, and he's done it a bunch now. And Joe's like, you think that they'll take me? And I'm like, I start to get the feeling from that show that they're kind of hurting for people. So like
they do a lot of it.
They will just pretty much take whoever's available that day.
Right.
And as long as you're not swearing live on television and relatively funny. Then...
I do it. And they like asked me to do it again in 2 weeks. And I'm like,
yeah,
this is free, you know?
yeah. Are they gonna toss us like $20 anytime soon?
No, it's fine. It's fun. I like it. I'm not trying to talk shit.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, yeah, no, it's they do have a lot of people on there. Yeah, it's free.
But it's, you know, I'm glad you came on the podcast, Mike. Cause,
yeah, but because you're paying me.
Because I'm gonna pay you in barbecue ribs. And I just I was thinking about this yesterday because your kind of rise through stand-up was different from a lot of people. Like, it's such an interesting story as far as comedy goes.
My story?
Yeah. Don't you think? I mean, you wrote this joke about a ghost monk. Oh. And it was a funny joke, a hilarious joke. And then randomly this guy, was it a friend or just someone on the road animated it into a cartoon or something?
Oh, I mean, Andy Erickson did that.
Okay.
She made a little car, but that actually was after the fact. What happened was I wrote this joke about ghost monk stuff, and I put it on MySpace. Yeah. So this happened last year. No.
Quite a bit of time ago.
Yeah, and Amy Bruni, she was on Ghost Hunters for.
So just the audio of the joke.
The video. It was a video.
Oh, the video.
And I posted it on everybody's, like, all these ghost people's pages and stuff like that.
So like you had that. See, because from my point of view from the outside, I thought that you just wrote this joke and then somebody made a cartoon and then they saw the cartoon and that's when they asked you to be a part of it.
No, they saw the video and it was Amy Bruni who was on the show later, but at the time she wasn't. She was the producer of their podcast radio show.
Okay.
And then she was like, "Hey, do you want to do this event?" And she's like, "Can you do 45 minutes on jokes or on ghosts?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I had like 3 minutes. I was like, "Get to writing."
I remember that too because you kept coming into the open mics like. You're like, just don't make fun of me. Like I have to work on this mummy and werewolf material and all this stuff. And we were like, what are you doing?
Yeah, but it was like, I mean, back then, it was a lot of money for me. Like,
well, no shit, man.
It was like a game changer kind of thing for me.
But it was like there were so many of us in the Minneapolis scene that were jealous. You know, I was jealous too because I was just like. You know, you were fucking flying all over the country and like doing this crazy shit. And I was just like, but talking to you last night about being involved with the ghost stuff and the things that you would do. I know now that, you know, in bizarro world, if I was given that opportunity, like I would have completely squandered it because I wouldn't have had any fun sitting in haunted hotels anywhere. Yeah. It would terrify me. Like I would have no fun doing that at all. It holds no interest for me to go to a closed insane asylum and sit in the basement and see if crazy
there's
stuff
usually
happens.
People with you.
I don't care.
Occasionally I would purposely... I was doing one actually in Minnesota, in Virginia, Minnesota. It was this old schoolhouse that was like abandoned. And I think they filmed like North Country up there or something like that.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of signs from it there. But at one point I decided to go into the basement by myself. And it was pitch dark. It was like Blair Witch Project kind of shit. And like, I kid you not, in the basement, I heard like a sling blade voice. It was like,
oh, Jesus.
And I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done.
So basically what happened was you started... Are there other comedians that are doing the ghost hunter events around the country? Are you considered the official ghost hunter comedian?
There's not for them, for their strange events. I mean, what happened was I'm under the opinion that I was the first paranormal stand-up comedian. There was a guy doing improv before.
Okay.
He's the long-haired, blonde-haired guy from the X-Files. I can't remember his name. The nerdy guy, the tech guy. He would do improv and stuff. He was before me, but I didn't know that he was doing that, and like I don't really understand the connection at all. You know,
ghost improv.
Yeah, I don't really know.
There's a specter behind you. So react.
I still do these events, but honestly, I pulled back from it as far as my regular identity goes. Like it's separate to me. I do those things when I'm there. I'm doing that. Because what happened was all of a sudden now Karen Rontowski does it. She does other events, and all her stuff's about ghosts, and she's super funny.
Yeah.
And then, not Jeff Singer, Ryan Singer.
Yeah.
He does a bunch of stuff on paranormal stuff now too. And I kind of realized that like I didn't want to get typecast as something that other people could do. Not that they were ripping me off. I don't. In no way am I insinuating that those people were. But because why not? But like I was like, I felt like I couldn't hold on to it, so I was like, I'm gonna do it separately, and I'm not gonna really identify myself as a paranormal comic because I didn't want to get typecast.
It would be like somebody asking me to do like an hour on comic books. Like I'm a little bit fluent in the comic book world, and I could probably put together something funny, but then it would be like Chris Hardwick coming in behind me and just like destroying it, you know.
And somebody else could do it. You know, and so I was like, well, I just got to be Mike Brody and stuff like that. So it's something I talk about on the radio or stuff like that, and I have a lot of stories about it. But like, it's not, you know, it's something if like my interview is really lame. I don't mean you, but I mean like no, but like somebody who like you know like so it's something to talk about.
So is there a sense of loyalty from the ghost hunters that you were kind of the first, and they give you the opportunity to do it? When you
I mean like I stayed exclusive to them. I did a UFO convention, which I think is different. I didn't feel like that was crossing the streams. And that was a one-time event. I did. And there was this little cube. They had all these weird things set up, and there was a cube that this lady was sitting in. At first, I thought she was like handicapped or something. She was in a cube, and her head was poking out. I was like, oh, man, what happened to her? And what it was a box that shoots lasers into you and simulates heat.
Okay.
So it tricks your body into thinking that you're hot, that you're warming up. So you're not. It's not actual heat. So you sit in this thing and you start to feel warmed up, but you're technically not being warmed up. It's just like a trick.
Weird.
So she asked me. I was walking by, kept walking by, and I was like looking at it. She's like, "Do you want to try it?" I was like, sure. So I get into this box. This is in Minneapolis at like the convention center. I think it's St. Louis Park, like right where they line up. And I'm in there, and all of a sudden, I look over and I see Justin Long.
Yeah.
From those Apple commercials and all those TV shows.
Yeah, I know Justin Long.
You know him?
Not personally. I just know who you're talking about.
He was there all of a sudden, and he wasn't a guest. He just walked in randomly, walks by, and he goes, "Hey, can I take a picture of you, man?" And he does like a little selfie with me in the box. I'm like, "Shit, now I'm going to be on Justin Long's blog as some weirdo in a box." I was just trying it out.
Man, you have so many of these crazy stories where it's like you're always in the right place at the right time sometimes, you know? Like, I've been doing this as long as you have. I don't have any of these stories of accidentally taking a selfie with a famous person or...
Hey, the club we're doing this weekend, Toby Keith showed up.
That another fucking story, man.
But
you're here and just out of nowhere, Toby Keith walks in to see the show, and you meet.
It wasn't out of nowhere. He called ahead and asked to be whisked in silent. I spilled coffee on my crotch.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
It's okay. It's okay. I put ice cubes in it. Scared me. Not scared of ghosts, scared of coffee. But so yeah, they were like, Toby Keith's gonna be here. Don't make a big deal of it. Don't talk about him on stage. Just like, you know. And so they whisked him in. He came in like halfway through the MC set, and me and the headliner were sitting at the bar. I don't even remember who was headlining, but we kept looking at the door, and people would walk in and be like, "Oh, is that Toby Keith? Is that Toby Keith?" And it was never Toby Keith. And then when Toby Keith walked in, you're like, "Oh, there he is."
Well, yeah.
You can't mistake that.
You can't mistake
that blonde Jerry curl looking motherfucker. And he came in, he watched the set, he laughed, and then he left like with like 5 minutes left in the headliner set or something like that. And he walked by me. He didn't even like stop, but he like shook my hand without even breaking stride. And he goes, "Good job, brother." And he just kept going. So I couldn't even get a picture with him, but some of the door guys got a picture with him, and he looked tired.
I remember back when you first, I think you first did that first tour with the Ghost Hunters. You came up with a shirt to sell after the show, and it was based on a joke you wrote about haunting the couch.
Yeah, it was I Haunt the Couch, and it had a couch with a ghost on it.
And I heard you sold every single one of those, like in the first two shows.
Oh, they sell like hotcakes at the ghost things, not at the regular shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andy Erickson made that one for me too.
God, man.
And then
the more I hear about this girl, the more I like her.
I also had onesies that said, "My diaper smells spooky," and then it had a little ghost that looked like a poop.
So from the beginning of you merchandising, you immediately had an idea to do baby clothes. Like, where did that come from? Like, because I had seen the like other comics selling onesie stuff, but I guess in my head I just never thought that any of my ideas would translate to.
I've honestly never seen anybody. The only person I've ever seen sell a onesie was Mike Merrifield, who was the guy who made my shirts, and we were doing the Skyline together. And I was featuring, and I got done. I'm walking through the bar, you know, and he walks by me holding a red onesie with some like fuck Bucky or something thing. And I didn't even say anything. He walks by me and he goes, "Yeah, I stole it. You should be pissed." And he goes up.
What?
Because he's like, "I make the onesies for you, and now I made a onesie for me."
Oh, I got what you're saying.
He was just kind of kidding me. He's like, "Yeah, I did it. Fuck you. You should be pissed." And then he goes up on stage. I wasn't pissed at all, but like.
He talked me into doing thongs for a while. Like selling thongs after the show, and that lasted about like a week and a half because I'm like, I don't want to be selling underwear after the show.
Yeah, it's awkward.
It was a funny idea because it was based on the joke
your thong song joke
where the lady where I say it's a weird vagina, and then at the end I said, "Is it an Audi or whatever?" So the thong underwear said, "Don't worry, it's an innie." Is what the thong
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't know, man. I just felt weird about like asking a lady what her underwear size
did you sell
is.
To any men?
No, I did not sell any underwear to a man.
Did you sell any? How many did you sell?
I don't know. I think he sent me like 10 of them, and then I had a brief thought of like doing it again. I had a brief thought to do it again, and then I asked him, and like I guess thong underwear, the price on it is like $10 just for the thong, and then it's like an extra couple bucks for the screen or whatever.
Yeah, and then you gotta like you deal with people being like, but I'm hot, so give it to me for free, like all this bullshit haggling and stuff. I look at it that way. Like you gotta like the cost can't be too much. Like my onesies cost more to make than my t-shirts, but people like they do really the onesie because it's less. But like no, there's little buckles and shit.
Do you? because many a times I get tired of the fucking jokes that I'm doing on stage. I mean, that the idea that you have, like the shirt that you sell, where it's the Cheers joke or whatever. It seems like you've been selling that for a while. I mean, do you ever get worried with the amount of places that we go back to over and over again? Do you ever feel like you've maybe saturated that market for that idea?
No, because I think if people started being like, "Hey, I remember this," then I think I'm getting somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't think I've gotten to that point yet. It hasn't really come up, and like I've come up with other ideas for shirts, and then they don't sell as well, and it's like, why am I giving myself a self-imposed pay cut?
Yeah.
Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't sell shirts because I like selling shirts. I didn't get into comedy so I could be the Johnny Appleseed of T-shirts going around. So that's where my real passion is, T-shirt sales. It's something I have to do. So honestly, I think short of having like super hacky shirts, that everybody has, like you know the type where like you've seen them 8 million times. What? I know you. I don't seen yours, but like the type where it's just like. I'm not gonna name names or anything, but like
that's what this podcast is for. You need to name names.
Well, I know somebody.
Be specific.
I know somebody who would like steal stuff from like Spencer's. Like he had a Buddha, and it said like I'm built like a god, and I'm like that shirt is blatantly stolen. Like you can't legally you could actually get into trouble for that.
Well, I felt bad because John Russell asked me to help him like come up with an idea for like a shirt, and he does this huge section in his act about online dating, and I thought about it for like maybe a half an hour in the car, and I said to myself, I said to him, I'm like, wouldn't it be funny if you sold a shirt that said "Okay Stupid" on it instead of "Okay Cupid"? I was like, that might be kind of a funny shirt, it's a some kind of tagline underneath of it, like "Okay Stupid," where the idiots come to date or something like that. And he got so excited about it, and then he went, I better make sure that this doesn't exist already. And like it was just all over the internet. There's like comedy shows named "Okay Stupid" with like people on it and all this stuff, and I was like, shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's a metal band called Napalm Death, right? And I suddenly got it into my head that it would be brilliant for a roller girl to be named Napalm Beth. And I was like, that is like the best idea I've ever had. And I Googled it. And it was like, there's like 45 roller girls named Napalm Beth. And I'm like, remember before the internet when we could believe that we had an original thought?
Well, it's like that Pete Holmes joke that makes me laugh, where it's, nowadays if we have a question, we just Google it, we know the answer. Like that longing is gone. It's like in the old days, if you woke up in the morning and you were like, where's Tom Petty from? Like you just needed to not know that.
Florida.
Well, whatever. I don't even know, but it's
Florida.
Oh, okay. Well, congratulations. But he's like, you go through your life and you don't know, and you're just like, you're asking everybody you meet, like, does anybody know where Tom Petty is from? And it's just eating at you until that one day you meet the girl on the street that has a Heartbreaker shirt on, and she says Florida or whatever, and that's how you fucking met your wife.
Yeah. That's really funny.
But it's like that,
It's true. Sometimes like I'll be online and I'll ask a question and somebody will be like, do that, like, let me Google that for you, that app?
Yeah.
It's like, maybe I just wanted some human interaction.
Let's Google it. That's going to be in the next fucking dictionary, is Google it as a phrase.
Snopes it?
Knowing
it's got to sound like a verb.
Snopes it?
Yeah, Snopes.com.
What is Snopes?
You don't know what Snopes is? It's a website that like basically takes like urban myths and like online rumors and verifies. Well, it doesn't debunk them. It just says if they're true or not. So it can debunk them, but it can also be like, this is true.
It's like, a good idea.
Most of them are bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, because they're like, this thing has been, there's a lot of bullshit out there, but like some of them are, true.
Yeah. So the meat of this podcast, I wanted to talk about your ghost hunting, because I don't think I've ever actually had anybody on that does that kind of shit, and I think it would be interesting to people to hear about it. And you can talk about whatever part of it that you want to. If you're like,
I had to look at my phone because my dog watcher didn't show up, and so I'm like,
shit, sorry, Mike. We
can
take
fine.
A break.
No. I'm just not trying to be like the dick or anything. I'm just like,
so you do you remember what the first one that you went on was? The first thing where you were in a hotel?
It was Mount Washington, New Hampshire. God, are you serious? I put my phone on silent. Hold on, let me just text my wife and say I am doing a podcast. This is good
That'll
podcast.
go over well.
I put it on silent. You can see the star.
No, I'm saying like to your wife. I can't answer right now. I'm on a podcast.
Well, I think.
Yeah, it does well. I told my wife that. She goes, well, I guess I'll hang up now. I go, not to push you off the phone, but I was like, I'm set up to do a podcast. And she's like, well, I guess I'll
No, my wife will be cool about it.
So, Mount Washington, New Hampshire.
Yeah. And it was this hotel that's like one of those big white ones with the red roofs, like the old style, kind of like 1800s style.
Oh, okay.
And it's up in Brenton Woods, New Hampshire. And it was the first time I'd ever done any stuff like that. And so it was really intimidating, really scary because I didn't know if they were going to like the comedy or if they were going to be into it or
so
not.
the whole setup of it is it's like a retreat where people come to meet the ghost hunter people.
They pay. It's like it's a lot of fans, you know.
Yeah.
They go to meet the people, and then they go on these little mini ghost
and then
hunts,
after it's like a hunt.
And there's speakers. So like during the day, people have speeches on like how to ghost hunt or like stuff about like the history of a Ouija board or something like that.
Okay.
So what would happen? The general formula was that they would show up. There'd be a meet and greet, and I would MC the whole thing. Like, all right, it's time for the meet and greet. Like, here's Amy Bruni, and here's Jason Hawes, and like all this stuff. And then later that night, I would do 45 to an hour on ghosts, and then they would wrap for the night. And
It just seems crazy. Did people
at
get
first,
bored of all the ghost material?
Well, it honestly, after a while, became so laborious to write so many new ghost jokes that I just started doing half and half.
Yeah.
And then it was so fun. It worked fine, so I was like, well, screw it.
Yeah.
Just whatever works, you know. And then they would wrap for the night, and then the next morning, about 10 or 11, the speakers would start, and then at night, they separate them into two groups. The first group would do one ghost hunt, and then the other one have free time, and then same thing the next day.
Okay.
So and then after the last group went, which was like 1 or 2 in the morning, it would end. Then all of us, if we were awake, would go and like. If we felt like it, go and do shit. Yeah, some people do it, some people didn't. Some people are like they're fucking over it, you know. Like, all right, I'm gonna go eat a banana.
Yeah, because I wouldn't say I'm scared of ghosts, but I'm just like I don't know, man. I've always had a healthy fear of it, just because of the idea that it's just free flowing energy, and the idea that possibly they could be manipulating you or the people around you or your reality or anything like that. That kind of stuff kind of freaks me out. It's like if I see somebody scary, like I can get away from them or whatever, but it's like this stuff around you that you can't see that messes with you,
I mean, I was scared of all that stuff too, and then I started doing it, and like I don't know. I feel like it's like there's nothing really to be scared of. As long as you're not like doing black mass sacrifices with blades up your eyeballs.
We were talking about is it okay to talk about your friend Adam on here or not?
Sure.
Okay. So where did you actually meet him?
At the
first one?
Yeah.
And you guys became fast friends?
I think it was like the second or third one that we became friends. He was like he's kind of an intimidating person.
Yeah,
he's a big bald guy who works for the Vatican. At that point, he wasn't working for the Vatican, but he is like, kind of. He's like an intimidating dude. I find out later that he's not.
Yeah.
But so I knew him and talked to him, but then we started like hanging out.
What is his official title then?
That's demonologist.
Demonologist.
It's a lot of people have co-opted that term.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of misused and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think if you actually work for the Vatican and take part in exorcisms, like you can.
Yeah.
But it's an old term.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically a layman.
So he is pretty much knee deep in the shit. Like he's seen it all and been a part of it.
Seems like it, yeah.
See, if I was with that guy, how you said, I'm not really scared because there's a lot of people around there. I think I would probably feel a lot more comfortable if I was with him, somebody that kind of knew the ropes and knows what's going on. But like if I was just with 3 like knuckleheads in a basement, I'd be like, I need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, that's generally it, I mean, it's I don't know.
So what have you seen with your own eyes on a ghost hunt, Mike Brody?
Well, this is...
Tell the world. What have you... I mean, have you seen a door creak open? Have you seen a vase fly at your head?
This is the stuff where, like, I mean, I could say what I've seen, but, like, at the same time, while I believe it is what I believe it is, I also am not, like, one of those all or none people. So
Yeah.
I always... hold the belief that I could be, like misinformed or delusional.
Yeah.
Like whenever I do them and something happens, I'm like, well, that's it. There it is. And then you get a few months later, you're like, well, I don't know. Maybe I was crazy.
Well,
so
it's like, because that seems to be the hook of that Ghost Hunter show, is they're always on the side of trying to prove it wrong. Like they're not, it doesn't seem like they're going into everything trying to be a cheerleader for paranormal activity.
well, the show's a show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a reality show, so I know those people, and I know that they're sincere people. But like, ultimately, things get made for shows, and it's not really. There is no such thing as a reality show. And I'm not saying they're faking stuff. I'm just saying that, like, it's
some part of it is manufactured. There's
well,
just no way to...
I mean, in the sense that they film sometimes for 6 days,
Wow.
12 hours a day, and then it gets spliced into looking like they were there for like a night or half a day. So. It really, and when they first started, there was a lot of houses, like just like people's houses.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff wouldn't happen. But then as they got more famous, all of them started to be like, oh, this giant castle in Scotland that's 1,000 years old, where everybody was opening their doors to them. And then they started running into stuff more because they were like going to the hot spots. Yeah. Everybody wanted them to come there, so it changed.
So did you ever get the lowdown as to whether they might have been faking a few things just for television? Like somebody was down the hall, like hitting a radiator with a stick or something?
I never heard anything like that.
Okay.
But there's a lot of
That's
ghost
good.
shows,
Yeah.
so who knows?
A lot of guys screaming at ghosts. to
Yeah,
hurt them.
That's but knowing those people, knowing the people from Ghost Hunters and talking to them privately and like doing ghost hunts with them, like it's my firm belief that they do believe what they're doing.
And there's a lot of equipment that goes into ghost hunting, because I actually like these shows and I watch them a lot. So they've got what I like to call the modified stud finder, where they go into a place and it's like,
that's exactly what it is.
It's a stud finder?
A lot of times, there's like
Get the fuck out of here.
Well, it's just like how like Viagra was supposed to be for your hair or something like that.
Was it?
Well, that might not be exactly true, but like a lot of times pills get...
It was for your heart?
Well, it was something like that. A lot of times things will get discovered by accident. Like they made a pill for this and they found out that it makes your legs grow or something. You know what I mean? And so that's what, these things were all...
It keeps your feet warm and you get a giant hard on.
A lot of these things were plumbers' tools and stuff that do electronics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then they found out that they use this stuff. And some of them are more like, some of them I think that there's more to it, and some of them I think are total bullshit. Like there's one where you take these little flashlights, and some people swear by it, but you unscrew the like those little fucking a flashlight, but you unscrew the top until it's like halfway in and halfway out, just so it'll like flicker, and then you set it down, and then it's kind of like a flash for yes, and then like every once in a while, but like it's gonna go on and off because you did it that way. So I don't really put a lot of stock in that, But
yeah,
there's always exceptions to the rule. I've been in upstate New York at the Otesaga Hotel in Cooperstown, New York, where the Baseball Hall of Fame is. I was in this hotel, and somebody had like 8 lights on the table, and they were doing that, and all of them were going on and off at the same time. And nobody was walking around to like bump the table. So then you're like, okay,
well, that sounds
what's that?
normal,
So like that's kind of my... I think you should look at everything with skepticism.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that sounds weird coming from a guy who's talking about ghosts, but I'm just saying, like, then you go, okay, maybe there's something there.
I think
like orbs, those are all dust. Everybody knows that.
They're not real.
Well, the thing is, but there's always exceptions to every rule. Like you take a picture, and there's orbs everywhere because it's dust. That's how they show up on a camera, especially with digital cameras. That's how it started picking up more. And this is like 1 in a million. Occasionally, there'll be like an orb that is emitting its own light and like it's reflecting off the wall or something. Like you take a picture of a big orb and it's shadowing on the wall.
Yeah.
Then you're like, okay, what's that? But those are like Bigfoot rare.
Few and far between.
Yeah. So it's not like everything's a definitive something. And then, like I said, I am fully aware that all of this could be complete bullshit.
You got to stay in the Stephen King suite. at
I didn't spend the
Shining
night. I didn't
Hotel.
spend the night there, but I spent a lot of time of
Yeah.
the night there. Like I've spent several hours.
And I didn't even know you were saying that that's the same hotel in Dumb and Dumber, which I never even.
Dumber, where he walks up the steps with the fluffy
Yeah.
boots. Yeah.
Oh, that's so crazy.
The man walks on the moon. Newspaper is still on the wall in the bar.
Is it?
Yeah. We did it.
Isn't that weird though? Like that whole conspiracy theory about Stanley Kubrick and that hotel in The Shining, and there's a newspaper thing on the wall of the moon landing.
Is that in the movie too?
No, but come on.
Well, it was. It just says man walked on the. It's the thing, like Occam's razor. Like they put a thing. It was a big deal.
I don't know. Well, sounds like.
So you're thinking there's another piece of the puzzle right there?
Yep. Yes, sir.
So you're telling me that Stanley Kubrick had something to do with the interior design of the Stanley Hotel?
I don't know.
They also
That
filmed
shit
The
just makes-
Shining, the TV version of The Shining there. Which
There
not
was a
good movie.
TV version?
Stephen King didn't like the movie. He thought that because they changed a lot of it.
Yeah.
And like Jack Nicholson, the character didn't have a. What did he have? In the movie, did he have a mallet?
No, he had an axe.
Yeah, in the book, it's a mallet, like a lawn, like a croquet mallet or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of little subtle differences. So Stephen King in like the 90s filmed it at the Stanley Hotel.
Yeah.
And they used the main character from Wings.
Oh, that sounds like a horrible choice.
Yeah, it was bad. It wasn't very good. It didn't do very good.
There was a video on Facebook the other day where it was behind the scenes of Jack Nicholson getting fired up for the whole door scene in the bathroom. Like, here's Johnny.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy to watch him just like get fired up to be that crazy.
Really?
He's just
I
like,
gotta see that.
He's like, "Rah, rah, rah," and he's got an axe and he's like hitting a bed, and the guy's like just checking the light thing with the thing, and he's behind him just like, "Rah, rah, rah," like,
I love stuff
holy
like that.
shit.
Like in Apocalypse Now, where Martin Sheen is in his underwear and he like breaks the mirror and he's bleeding. That was all
man.
real. He was wasted and he punched the mirror. He was wasted. Like
I haven't seen that video. I gotta check.
no,
that
it's in the
out.
movie. I mean,
Oh, it's in the movie.
The movie he made the cut where he's like, he was supposed to be. It's like in Walk the Line when Joaquin Phoenix rips the sink off the wall.
Yeah.
That wasn't supposed to happen. He was just
Really?
supposed to freak out. He pulled the sink off the wall. So they kept it because like, oh, that's great.
Well, that's too like the scene in Something About Mary, when they wheel him out of the house in the beginning, where he gets his dick stuck in the zipper and he's about to go into the ambulance, and they go to put him in the ambulance and the whole thing collapses and falls over. Like, that was a real thing that happened.
That's awesome.
And he got up and just like, being the great actor he was, he really, like, I think fractured his elbow when he fell down, and he was just like, giving the thumbs up, and they put him in the ambulance and they kept it in the movie. I
Nice.
was like, jeez. That's a horrible reminder that you fractured your elbow there. But
Also,
it's-
the last great Farrelly Brothers movie.
Yeah. Actually, I liked Hall Pass. I thought Hall Pass
I never
was
saw that
funny.
one.
But being,
Oh wait, Me, Myself, and Irene. I like that one.
yeah, that one was good too.
But yeah, so
You've been in some
I've,
shit, man.
I've seen.
You've been in the shit.
I was in Alcatraz, and I followed what I thought was a dude into a room to. He was walking into a room. I thought he was going to record some stuff, and I walked in there to be like, "Hey, can I record in here too?" And then there was nobody in there. And I've been touched by stuff. I've heard things. We were in a room.
Have
once.
you ever been physically harmed by a spirit?
No.
You said like one of the guys you were with had like scratches.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah.
I don't fuck with that shit.
Yeah, no shit. Man.
No.
I just, your buddy Adam, some of the stories you told me, just how matter of fact he is about demons and shit, and just like, yeah, they got 3 fingers, that's
Yeah,
what
they
they
scratch
that's
the
what they
back.
do, and there's a finite amount of them, and he runs into the same ones across the country.
Well, the thing is, like,
Hey, Bob,
This all sounds.
you work in this area too?
It just all sounds crazy on paper. It sounds crazy, but like,
Hey,
like-
I watch Supernatural.
well, but
right?
people
I
that
know.
don't believe in any of this stuff, and that's fine, and maybe they're right, maybe they're.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm basing my stuff not on just being kind of smug and be like, oh, that's all bullshit. Like, I've actually gone and done been there and seen stuff with my own eyes, and and it's not like I look for this shit. Like when I'm not doing that stuff, I'm not thinking about ghosts or looking. You know what I mean? So it's
You're
like,
not like out in the town, like
Right.
looking for the haunted
so
mansions.
I've seen enough stuff to know that there's something going on that we don't understand, and whether it's ghosts or science that we haven't understood yet.
Yeah.
Like time wormhole shit. I don't know, but there's something going on, and maybe we can create things with our minds. I have no idea, but there's just something.
Did you actually ever get on the show?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I was there for filming of it once. They filmed what was it called? The Star of India in San Diego.
Okay.
And I flew out there and hung out with them while they filmed, and got to hang out with like Jay and Grant, the two main characters
Okay.
at the time, or the lead
Yeah.
the guys. And we went in this like Soviet Russian submarine that was right next to it, and like
jeez.
all this cool stuff. But yeah, and so I sat out there and watched while they took turns going in, and like none of them came back and were like, "Hey, don't forget to throw that rock." They would go down and have a cigarette. They'd be like, "Yeah, there's some weird stuff happening over by the meat hook."
Is that show still on?
Yeah, they've had a lot
Really?
of turnover.
Oh, okay.
They've had a lot of turnover. I think there's only 2 original cast members
Oh,
left. There's
okay.
Jason Hawes, and then there's Steve Gonzalez.
What was the
Oh,
thing
and
with-
Dave Tango.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What was the thing where you ate hot sauce or something? when the
Oh
show was
yeah, I
first
forgot
on
about
or
that. That was
something like
actually
that?
at that place. That was
Oh, okay.
that was at the Star of India where it all started because when we were looking, while somebody else was, the other people were filming, me and Jason Hawes and Britt Griffith, who that was either his first or second episode that he filmed. He became he was on there for like 5 or 6 years. But we went and looking through the mess hall or whatever of this boat,
Yeah.
and we found found a hot sauce. I believe it was called Ass Raper.
That's some hot sauce,
Yeah.
man.
And
rape your ass.
Yeah, I mean that's maybe you can't name it that today, but in 2006 you sure could. And
Holy shit balls.
so Jason Hawes filmed it. Like he put it on MySpace again.
Yeah.
Time frame. And we went through and we had a hot sauce drinking contest. And
So do you believe, like, in the day,
I threw up onto the boat from Master and Commander because it was next to it. Like I wasn't on the boat, but I puked onto there. Like it flew onto the boat.
now, if YouTube had existed at that point, do you feel like that video would have gone viral?
It did exist, but nobody used it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Well, that's your other big claim to fame right now, is that you came up with
That
a
my
viral
humongous
video.
cock.
Well, I haven't seen your penis. I've just heard the legend.
I'm just kidding. Now that's talking about things that aren't true. Yeah.
So yeah, you're I kind of envy guys like you, because I've said it on the podcast before. I don't really have a thing. Like I don't have something that I'm really into, like, that monopolizes my time, and I feel like that was kind of my problem as to why I had such an addictive personality into like gambling and stuff, because gambling was really my only thing,
Yeah.
like that I wanted to do all day, all night.
That's a hobby.
I
It's a destructive one.
yeah, I was never into like, bands or into any of that stuff, but
Yeah.
you seem to be very into
Yeah.
basketball
and punk
music
rock,
and stuff.
which
yeah.
sounds contradictory,
yeah.
but I don't give a shit. I like them both.
Yeah. But holy shit, man, you had some foresight to put together that what is it called on YouTube?
It's called Kevin Love Jersey Burning Minnesota Nice Style.
Okay.
It has 2.7 million hits.
How crazy is that, man?
Yeah,
It's
it was
so
pretty
wild.
crazy.
'Cause it caught fire quick. Like I
Real
remember
quick.
you took a flight somewhere, and during the flight you got down to the other side. And it was
My
crazy.
wife and I made it.
Yeah.
Like I wrote it and filmed it, but she literally had just as much to do with it because she took like 30 hours of footage and like had the foresight to know which stuff was good, and
Wow.
so like to me we're co-creators. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
holy shit,
like
man.
right down the line. And so we made it because everybody knew Kevin Love was going to get traded. Like it was in the
Yeah.
cards, but it was the off season. You can't technically make a trade, at that point. And so we made it and we sat on it for a couple weeks, and we were going to wait until like there's this August 30th. There was like some
Yeah.
like you could trade again, and then he did that thing. They did that thing where like it's not an official trade, but some like big sources say that he's traded. It was like the big headlines, and we're like, screw it, let's do it.
Yeah.
We put it out on a Friday, I think it was, and it was a slow news day, and nothing was going on in sports. And like I posted it like the night before at like 2 a.m, And then when I was leaving for New York for a festival, the I Love Lucy Fest, when I got to the airport, it already had 160,000 views in the morning.
Jesus Christ.
And like all of a sudden, everybody was calling me. It was like blowing up. And then I got on the plane. And I was sitting next to this guy. And I'm not a plane talker.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people. But I was so freaked out that I was like, "Hi, I have a video." I was freaking out.
You ever been on this thing? It's called YouTube. You ever watch the video?
Because I was trying to monetize it too. Because nobody, you have to have 50,000 views before you can monetize it. Nobody expects like, boom, in an hour you got 160. So I was freaking out. I was on a plane. There's no Wi-Fi, and so I talked to the guy next to me, and I told him, and I have this video, and then it's like. I was like, it's viral. It's got 200,000 views, And he goes, when we land, I'll check on my phone. So we land, and he turns on his phone, and he pulls up YouTube, and I'm like, oh, there it is. And then I realized I didn't tell him what it was called. Yeah. It was already the #1 video on all of YouTube, and it was like when you hit YouTube, it just popped up. And so we ended up getting 2.7 million views, and like it was on SportsCenter, LA Times, USA Today, like almost anything you could think of, it was on. And then like there was even like people doing those little shows where like. They show it, like they show a clip, and they're like, Mike Brody, comedian from Minneapolis, and they're like some lady from LA doing some show, and
it's so wild, man.
And then Kevin Love mentioned it in his article when he left Minnesota. He's like, and thank you guys for not burning my jersey, and he put a link to it. So it was pretty awesome. And then I never did a second one because I was too nervous to follow it. Maybe
what I'm gonna do just for you is after the credits, I'm gonna put the audio of the video on here so people can hear the audio.
Sure.
And then they'll get excited and they'll go and actually watch the video, and you'll get
the thing that sucked is
100 views.
For the longest time I had kept reporting people because there's people that they just steal it and then monetize it and try to get your money. So
what?
It happens. Even now there's like 10 ripoff ones, but I stopped worrying about it because one has 2.7 million views and one has like 1,000. So like, what do you think's the real one? But the thing that pisses me off is a lot of them cut my credit off at the end, where it says MikeBrody.com, and they cut it off, and I'm like, all right, bitch, if you want to take it, whatever, but give me my
what
fucking...
the fat Jew is doing. You know, he takes everybody's shit, and then he crops it so the
you should clarify that that's his name that he gave himself.
Yes, I'm not just slurring a man to slur a man. Hey, check it out on Twitter. It's at the Fat Jew, and that's his title.
Well,
he lost everything real quick, man.
Oh yeah, nobody's gonna.
He lost his deal within like 12 hours.
Apparently, he never had a deal. He was also lying about that. He had a meeting with them, and they never had a deal. So like it wasn't like they canceled him. They were like, when people asked, they're like, no, we don't have anything going with him, because they're like, because he's full of shit.
Well, maybe it was just plausible deniability on their part that, like, if they said, we never really offered him anything, and he's like, no, we have a deal or whatever.
Well, you know how, like, Hollywood works, man. There's green lights. Like, you can get all the way to the very end. They can still cancel it,
So what I like to do at the end of my podcasts is I like to do a game called...
Also, I'm a ghost.
Thank you. 5 horrible questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
They're pretty horrible. No, they're all right. Thomas did them. He didn't have an answer for any of them. No, he had a few of them. Somebody offered you $50 million tomorrow.
15-1-5?
5-0.
5-0.
Yes,
I will do it.
To never tell another joke, personally or professionally, for the rest of your life. Would you take it?
I already have just taken it.
Wow, you didn't even know what it was. You just took it.
$50 million, never tell a joke again? Fuck yeah.
Wow.
Fuck jokes.
Thomas is not happy with you.
Well, fuck, man. I mean, $50 million. It's not like it's like $100 or something. $50 million. I could fucking pay every comic I've ever wanted to tell me jokes. I could fucking tell a comic to go be me. I pay somebody to be Mike Brody and tell my jokes on stage for me.
And you could just sit in the back and enjoy watching.
$50 million? Are you kidding me? There's a number where I'd be like, I'd stab Mark Poulos in the throat. Oh man, you'd kill me for no, I'd miss the jugular.
Oh, all right.
I'm just saying, $50 million is a ridiculous amount.
It is a lot of money. Do your best famous person impression. No.
My wife always tells me I'm the worst impersonator of all time. It's true, because every impression I do sounds like Fonzie from Happy Days. Like, hey, like that was my Bob Marley impression.
You got nothing?
No, hey.
Oh, all right.
Hey, I'm doing the thumbs.
I
can do Dwight York and Isaac Whitty.
All right, let's hear it.
Dwight York. Does anybody know who Dwight York is on this podcast?
Probably.
My doctor said a banana a day is good for my colon. Apparently, you're supposed to eat them.
Do your Isaac Woody. I gotta hear your Isaac.
What's a
Woody.
short Isaac Woody joke? He's longer jokes. I think I saw a sign that said banana bread. Wow. You should never have a sign that says, oh, carrot cake. Carrot cake. Wow. Unless you're mowing the lawn, and all of a sudden, wow, carrot cake. That was horrible. I butchered his joke, and it was horrible. I can do it better. I got too nervous. The Dwight one was good.
His my favorite joke he does is the boat people and the bridge people.
He never does it anymore.
He never does, man. That's so great. He's
That's a great one.
Boat people and bridge people. You got.
It's kind of Brian Regan-y. And I don't mean that I don't mean that in a rip-off way, but it's like I think it's like on the level of Brian Regan.
For sure, man. Name a comic you don't get along with, and why?
Oh boy.
Thomas didn't have anybody. He gets along with everybody. No.
Let me see.
Which one are we going to?
Well,
I need number 1 on the list. I don't need 4 or 5. Give me the person. If you walked into a condo and you saw them sitting on the couch, you'd immediately go to your room and curse the people that booked that comedy.
I don't want to come back and have this bite me, but
oh god.
I mean, I don't remember his name. Can I say it if I don't remember his name? I'm not copping out.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I was working at the House of Comedy with this Canadian dude. The funny thing is, the biggest pains in the ass are usually like people that are nobody.
For sure.
Like I worked with Jay Farrow, who's like famous now, and he's like a big
huge
deal. And Jay Farrow honestly was like the coolest dude I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
Jay Farrow is like a fucking A+ dude.
For sure.
And he wasn't like, oh, I'm cool and I'm still talking to you peons. He was just a normal dude. He's not a normal dude, but he acted like one. He's like the most humble.
His
like,
impersonations are.
Oh, he's great. And he's funny. And when he talks to you like a human being. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't have an air of superiority on him. So Jay Farrow is like the epitome of like, that's the top. He's so cool. Like Patrice O'Neill, I was terrified of.
Bottom.
Well, I didn't hate Patrice O'Neill because I knew what I was going to get with Patrice O'Neill. I knew that he's like not a friendly dude. Like, he's passed away, R.I.P. But like he didn't want to talk. There was this guy from Canada that was real passive aggressive, because Canadians are even more passive aggressive than us Minnesotans. And he didn't want me to sell, but he wouldn't tell me he didn't want me to sell, and I would ask him. Like I always ask if I could sell, you know. And
for sure.
I didn't ask you because I knew that you wouldn't. I knew it wasn't your thing. But like I asked him, but he didn't want me to sell. So instead of like just say no, I mean I'd be pissed, but like okay, just fucking. And so instead he bitched to the management about me, which he didn't know that I have a connection with them, and so I found out. And then he was just being really weird and like, oh, well, you know. And then he got mad about my set because I was like killing in front of him and I wasn't doing crowd or everything like that. But and he's like, I'm sorry, I have my art and I just want it to be. I'm like, your art, all your jokes are about your balls. Like your art. What are you talking about? And then like he kept making me move down the hall to sell. He still wouldn't say no, but then like basically I'm like out in the street, like you know, like down 400 yards away.
Was he selling?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I still outsold him 7-1.
But wasn't there another guy that you were working with there? Because they had that policy where you could hand out free tickets, and then he was the reason they changed the policy, and he wasn't even selling, or was that the same guy? Where you used to be able to just hand out the tickets and then you had to ask permission.
Yeah. He didn't like that I was giving out the tickets too. Because at that point, that was a policy in like Edmonton and stuff, but that had never been clarified in Minnesota. So because they did that in Edmonton, he made sure that they stopped there. Like he was just, there's a lot of people that I've worked. I mean, I worked, and I don't remember a lot of these people's names because I try to like just like put it behind me, you know, and not hold a grudge. Yeah. But there was a guy in Michigan that I had hair, so this was a long time ago. And I went up and I had a joke about Eminem. Remember the parties don't stop till 8 in the morning. Yeah. And that was my first joke that ever did well, so I beat it to death. Yeah. And we were doing it was a Yoder one-nighter in like Bay City, or I don't know where it was, somewhere. And it was like one of those shows where it's like a company party and they had a raffle. But it was a real show, but it was mostly, they had a raffle. And so I get up there and I'm doing my stuff. I was like 25. I can't pretend to be 40. I'm 25. I wasn't married, you know. So I go up and I do my thing, and he goes up First off, he did that thing where he was like, now I would never put up for this with this shit today. I would never. But he like did this thing where like I had to be the MC as the feature. Like I learned how to MC by being a feature on like Yoder One Nighters and stuff like that.
There's nobody else there.
He would, so I bring him up, and then he's like, hold on a second. And he kept me on stage for like 5 minutes and like humiliated me. And apparently that's his thing. Like he does that with everybody. And I was just like, ooh.
I would have.
Now I'd be like, go fuck yourself, dude.
Yeah.
So then I get down and he's like, hey, give it up for Mike Brody, Eminem jokes, but you guys really relate to that. And he like later on he like criticized me for doing like age specific stuff, and I'm like, all your jokes were about Kiss and pinball machines. You go fuck yourself. And then when I got done, he lectured me about how I should be a Republican, and I'm like, fucking hate you, dude.
Was this Gallagher?
No. But there's other people. I mean, it's just like there's times I had a rough time with somebody in this condo once. I don't really want to get into it, but like, this is
me.
No, just a comic that thought I was his chauffeur and smoked inside, was really disrespectful. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, I remember this guy.
Yeah. I'm loath to name names, but yeah, there's generally I try to like, especially if I'm featuring, because if somebody's a real dick to me, I can just distance yourself. As a feature, you can really like. If I hate somebody, I can just do my set. What they do doesn't affect me for the most part, and I could just go walk away, and it's fine. If I'm featuring like, or headlining, I've had people do like 45 minutes in front of me, and
so disrespectful.
Do like, like they want me to get off stage now. Like, what do you guys think? Like that. Kind of
God, that drives me bonkers.
I mean,
I guess I gotta go now. Waiting for the like whatever.
Yeah.
Do whatever you need to do.
But I feel like I'm pretty easy to get along with, I guess, for most people. Some people maybe not. I don't know.
Question 4. What's the meanest thing you've ever done to a person on purpose?
When I was in 7th grade, I've done a lot of mean things, but when I was in 7th grade, I had a best friend who was just kind of my best friend by the fact that I didn't have any other friends.
Yeah. And
he had a Nintendo. So it worked out for me. This is like early 90s. Must have been like 90 or 91. And he ran funny. We used to call him Carl Lewis because he ran funny. Carl Lewis was the big runner at the time. And so then I met my next best friend, who was like my best friend from like 7th grade till 9th grade when he moved to Kentucky. And he was like a step up. Like he was cooler than everybody. He wasn't quite cool enough that he still had to hang out with me, so he wasn't that cool. But he and I went along with it, so I take responsibility. He didn't want this other guy to hang out anymore, so he devised a plan where when this guy sits down, he was sitting down last at lunch in school. Everybody else got up and walked away from the table right when he sat down. So he was like, this kid was like my best friend, and like I don't think we ever talked again. And he was kind of like a dork and like real awkward. And like as an adult, I'm like, fuck, man, that was horrible, and I still feel bad about it. And like I'm in AA, I've tried to apologize to him, but I can't find him on Facebook. I'm like, is he dead, or is he just one of those people that doesn't use Facebook?
He's just off the grid. He lives in a cabin in the forest.
Right? Is it like the Adam Sandler movie where there's like a list that I apologize to him and he crosses my name off? No, I mean, to me, like, I've probably done worse things, like, to people, like, purposely mean things, but, like, that was, like, when you're a kid,
the one that
it
just
felt specifically malicious, and it was, like, I got bullied a ton, so I should have known better, or, like, picked on, but, like, when you're the second lowest rung of the dorks, you have to, like, nobody's meaner to the lowest dorks than the second lowest dorks, because if we don't kick them down, then we're them.
Yeah.
And so I still feel bad about that.
It feels like, what was that movie? Can't Buy Me Love or whatever, where the second level geeks were messing with the lower level geeks or something like that.
Oh, is that in there? It's been a long time since I'm a big money don't cost a thing.
Money don't cost a thing. Last question, toughest question of the 5 questions. Feel free to answer it if you'd like.
You ask everybody the same questions?
All 5.
Okay.
If you don't want to answer it, you don't have to.
All right.
Reveal something on the podcast you've never told your wife.
I actually honestly have one of those relationships where I tell her everything.
Well, there you go, man.
I know that sounds like a cop-out.
No, it's all right.
But I'm a really bad liar.
Yeah.
And, like, like, for a while when I had a relapse, I didn't tell her for a little bit, like a few weeks, and then it came out, and then that, hey, it ruined my life for a little bit. But I've just found that, like, I'm trying to think of something non-consequential that I told her. Like, one time I dropped a piece of gum.
But it's like
I don't think so. I firmly believe you got to be honest.
Yeah, from my experience, somehow it's always going to come out.
She
No
can
matter
tell when
what
I'm hiding
you're-
something.
Yeah.
Like she knows something's wrong. She can tell.
And that's like those special relationships. It's the same way with me and my wife. Like she knows when, and I know when she's not straight, like something's off. And she knows when there's something off with me. And it's just, we're just that connected. I'm sure you guys are too. It's just hard to keep something, from somebody forever. It's just always going to
And she doesn't even like surprises. Like if I'm giving her a
I
surprise.
hate surprises.
So she does it. So I don't even keep good things from her. I'm like, by the way, I bought you a pony.
You haven't even wrapped the present. It's
Yeah.
like you're holding it up outside the window. Happy anniversary. I haven't even put it in.
Right.
Well, thanks for coming on, Mikey. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You got anything you'd like to promote?
MikeBrody.com. I'm going to be opening for Joy Behar?
Joe Behar.
Behar. I don't watch The View, but apparently she's very famous, and I'm opening for her in front of
Yes.
1,300 people. So
Don't do any nurse jokes.
yeah. This will be probably. I think this is gonna beat Dave Attell for my biggest if it sells out.
Yeah.
'Cause I did it was somewhere between 800 to 1,000 people with Dave Attell,
Jeez.
and I think this is 1,300 if she sells out. So this would be my biggest show.
I'm opening for the Impractical Jokers at the State Theater, and I'm assuming that's probably going to be the biggest crowd I've ever
They're that
done.
big, damn.
Yeah.
Last I saw them, they were like advertising for like
Penguins.
Jokers and so they've gotten bigger since then.
Yeah, they are pretty damn big. I guess it's pretty close to sold out already. So
At the State Theater,
yeah,
that's awesome.
it's pretty crazy. I don't even know what they do. I mean, do they just
They
do
joke
the
and
show?
practically.
Do they just do the show on stage, or do they show clips or something?
Dude, there's
like
a guy
that?
coming to the House of Comedy named Piff the Magic Dragon.
Piff the Magic Dragon.
I've never heard of him until I saw him on the thing.
Yeah.
He's a magician, right?
Yep, dressed as a dragon.
Well,
And
there you
pretends
go.
to be a dragon.
He's not?
Not a real dragon. No.
I thought he'd be a good magician.
He did make a movie called Turok.
That was him?
No.
Oh. I was like, wow, it all comes full circle.
I don't know which podcast will come out first. That could be a flash forward or a callback. We won't know.
See, time doesn't exist, man. It's all a
It
continuum.
doesn't. It's all nebulous.
I don't know what that means.
Neither do I. Mike Brody, everybody.
Thank you.
And that was Mike Brody. Fun interview, cool guy. A lot of fun stories. Check him out at MikeBrody.com. Check out his viral video on YouTube called Kevin Love Jersey Birding. And check him out when he's out on the road. A lot of fun gigs he does. A lot of college and corporates and conferences. So if you see him in your town, go and check him out. You can always get this podcast at Podbean and iTunes and Tuned In and Stitcher. And check out my website, largedrunkman.com, for my upcoming dates. I will be all over the place until December.